Today, we are going to be chatting through improving your relationship with food, exercise, and body image. And this is part two because we did a little bit of this in phase one. In phase one, we touched mainly upon the food and exercise relationships. And today, we're going to be putting the emphasis a little bit more on the body image, but we're also going to be talking about how those three things all link together because that's really, really important. They all have a very close relationship with one another, and our relationship with each one of those, therefore, has an impact between each element of lifestyle. So, we're going to be talking about how to maintain a healthy relationship with them all, hopefully, which I feel most of us have managed to get ourselves to now, but it's always really important to offer some reflections. We've also got quite a few reflection prompts within our huddle today. So the first thing that I want you to do is rate your relationship with food out of 5. 5 being that your relationship is amazing, you don't feel that you have any toxic habits, you feel that you're in control of food, food doesn't control you, you don't suffer from emotional eating, you don't have any disordered habits at all, and food is just a normal part of your life. You feel like it happens quite naturally. One being that you feel that your habits in relation to food are quite disordered. You suffer with emotional eating a lot. You feel that it's hard to gain a relationship with food easily. Some weeks are good, some weeks are bad in terms of how you feel your mental relationship is with food. Perfect. Right. So we've got a couple of low markers in there. So then I would like you to relate your relationship with exercise out of 5. Again, 5 being the best it can possibly be and 1 being not so good. And this can be reflected in different lights. It can be that you over exercise or you use exercise as a tool of punishment. Or the other being that you're very sedentary, you find it hard to motivate yourself to exercise, you don't enjoy exercise. And then the final thing that I'm going to get you to do is rate your body positivity out of 5. 5 being you've got extremely high body positivity, you compliment yourself frequently, you feel good all the time, you're happy with your appearance, and 1 being that your body positivity is basically non-existent. You're not very nice when you talk to yourself, you're not happy at all with anything to do with your body. Okay, so we've got some low marks that I can see so far in the chat. So now I'm going to bring you into a journal prompt. We're going to have a few journal prompts today. So how can you, or if you already have, how have you improved your relationship with food and exercise and body image as well? So if you don't have a great relationship with any of these things, how do you think you could improve it? And if you maybe previously didn't have a good relationship, but now you feel you do, how have you worked to improve, or how are you currently going through the process of improving these relationships? I'll give us a couple of minutes to write some things down about how we're feeling. You can pop some shares in the chat as well if you'd like to. You might be unsure as well, and that's absolutely fine. Sometimes when we don't have a great relationship with these things, the biggest barrier to improving our relationship with them is that we don't know where to start. We don't know how to take that step forwards in improving them. So just write down anything that you think might be helpful. So we are going to go through them. We are going to go through them in a minute. We're going to talk about how we could work on improving this. It's just a couple more seconds. Fabulous. That leads us into another journal prompt just quickly before we get stuck in. What does health mean to you, and what does health look like to you? If you were to describe what a healthy lifestyle would look like for you, a healthy day to day would be, what would that look like? How would that feel? How would that make you feel? What would that include? What would that include in terms of work? What would it include in terms of sleep, stress levels, food, exercise, relationships, connections? How would that look? Hobbies, you time. What would a healthy day / healthy life look like? And what does health mean to you? How would you personally define health? And why is it potentially important to you? How does it make you feel? Again, feel free to share some ideas in the chat if anyone fancies. Otherwise, we will move along. Great. A good relationship with food, feeling healthier, feeling better in yourself, having more confidence, and prioritizing the importance of feeling good and healthy. That's a good place to start. So, best way to improve your relationship with food, exercise, and body image is by empowering yourself with knowledge, which we are all working towards doing. We're all here on the Better Living program. We've got access to these resources that are giving us a lot more positive and reliable and trustworthy information on food, on exercise, on body image. We're in a supportive and safe environment when we're complete our training. We're hopefully finding what forms of exercise we do enjoy and empowering ourselves with the knowledge in order to improve our relationship with these things. And that's what we're going to continue to do today. So the first thing that I want us to do is to simplify and understand. Again, things can get really convoluted up here, and that can be caused by our own overthinking, or that can be caused by what we consume day to day on social media and the news. So the best thing to do when things get a little bit complicated is to strip them back and fully understand and simplify them. So it's important to understand what you need to function efficiently, what levels of exercise allows you to function efficiently, what makes you the most productive, what makes you the most focused, what makes you feel the best, what helps your mental health the most, what de-stresses you the most. It's important to understand what level of nutrition you need to function, what foods make you feel energized, what foods don't make you feel energized, what makes you feel good, what don't. What do you enjoy the most? What do you dislike the most? What do you need in order to be able to complete your daily tasks? What do you need to perform your best in training? Understanding all of those is really important. And body image wise, what do you need in order to feel better in yourself? What allows you to feel more confident? What allows you to increase your self-esteem? Knowing and understanding what it is that you need is the first step in being able to start implementing those things and improving food, exercise, and body image on a day-to-day basis. Because if you know what you need, if you know what makes you feel good, we can ensure that we're doing those things more frequently. Then the second thing is take control of your nutrition, your exercise, and thoughts. How can you do that? Can we take control of our thoughts by journaling more frequently? Can we take control of our exercise by planning it in ahead? Can we take control of our nutrition by understanding what exactly it is that we need to include into our daily diet? Stop making decisions about nutrition and exercise based solely on your body image. People make extreme decisions when they're basing what they need based off of purely body image. We don't simply provide ourselves with nutrition and exercise because we want to look a certain way. There's a lot more behind it. We need nutrition to survive. We need protein to support our muscle function. We need carbohydrates to provide us with energy. We need fats to help us to function and protect our organs. We need fiber so that we can have a healthy digestive system. There are other reasons to eat food other than just to look a particular way. And same with exercise. We need to exercise so we can improve our cardiovascular system, so we can run around with the kids or the grandchildren. We need exercise so that we can increase our bone density. So as we get older, we're less likely to fall over and injure ourselves. We need exercise so that we can boost our confidence, so that we can feel strong and we can tackle daily tasks well. So stop making all of your decisions based purely around wanting to look a certain way, because that is what can really make things stressful, and that is what can create a negative environment for these things. Then eat for function and performance rather than aesthetics, like we just said. Step outside your comfort zone. So we can get really comfortable in our toxic habits. If we've done things for a certain amount of time, if we've been led to believe certain things for a certain amount of times, that becomes your comfort blanket. That becomes your comfort zone. Even though it's a negative zone, it's where we find comfort, which means suddenly things like, if we've been restricting calories for as long as we can remember, suddenly increasing calories that's actually what seems quite scary, even though it's what's healthier for us. So we're actually going to feel like we're having to take a step out of our comfort zone and do some scary things if we have sat in these toxic habits for so long. So stepping out of your comfort zone is actually going to be really key to pushing these boundaries and improving these relationships. And then the last thing would probably be, we've got to find the root cause. So what is fueling your nutrition choices at the moment? Where are your nutrition choices coming from right now? Are they coming from a place of insecurity? Are they coming from a place of like poor body image? Or are they coming from a place of purely wanting to survive and improve performance? Have we got disordered habits in like fueling our nutrition choices currently? Have we got disordered habits fueling our exercise choices? Where have these come from? Understanding the root cause. Have they come from our childhood, things that our parents told us? If we've had a parent or a guardian or someone we look up to consistently tell us that, oh, you're special because you're so pretty, or you're special because you're so good at doing this, we start to attach our self-worth to these things. So has it come from that? Or perhaps it's coming from what you're consuming on social media. You're constantly consuming day to day. You've got Coach Jen on social media, whoever that might be, telling you, in order to improve your confidence, you've got to look like this. To improve your confidence, you need a big bum. To improve your confidence, you need to be skinny. To improve your confidence, you need to lose 7 pounds. If you've got people on your social media telling you that every day, of course you're going to start to believe it. So how can we start to rectify these things? By finding the root cause. What changes can we make from this? Yes, a really good point has been made in the chat. Childhood can be a big thing, actually. And our parents didn't do this to us on purpose, they had it done to them as well. But if you were in a household where you were always taught you are never to leave food on plates, you must eat all of your food, and then you've reward yourself with a dessert, we pick up these habits then of having to finish off our plate regardless of our hunger cues telling us that we're full, of having to have a dessert every time we eat our dinner. It's they're big habits that we pick up and they stick with us, and that's where these things start to form. So on to another journal prompt. We've got quite a few little reflection prompts today, but they're going to be really helpful in helping you to analyze your relationship, whether you feel that your relationship is positive or negative. There's always things that can be done to improve it. So think about your day to day. What would it look like if you were fully content? How would you show up for work? How would you show up with your family? How would you show up for yourself? What would you eat and how would you move? Really dive into the nitty-gritty of what your day-to-day would look like if you were to feel content every single day. Describe exactly what that day would look like. Would it start with a skincare routine? Would you go to work and hit certain work goals? Would you be earning a certain amount of money? Would you be getting a longer lunch break? Would you be able to go outside and go for a walk in your lunch break? Would it be doing a different job? Would it be working less days per week? Would it be working more? Would it be having more boundaries? Really dive into the nitty-gritty. Then after work, what would that look like? Would it be spending the evening at a class, or would it be going out for dinner with friends? Or would it be having a nice long bubble bath? Would it be doing something creative? Think about what it would look like if you were fully content in all areas. Give us a 1 more minute to think about this. Yeah, it could be being more confident and enthusiastic about life, definitely. If we write down things like we wish that we could exercise more, again, this is where we need to try and reframe that mindset. Rather than thinking, I wish I could exercise more, think about how you can change your expectations of exercise. What can you do to exercise that are within your limitations? What can you do for exercise that is within your time capacity? Remember, exercise isn't always vigorous and it's not always 1 hour long. It can look like a lot of different things. If you feel the evenings are a large challenge for you as well, for example, then what could you be doing in the evenings that would bring you content? If you feel that you spend a lot of your evenings in front of the telly or being bored and that's not fulfilling you or living in line with your values, what could you introduce in the evenings instead that would? Could you go out to a workout class? Could you go out to a group hobby of some kind, like a crafting group? Could you bring crafting into your home? Could you knit? Could you sew? What could you do that would bring more satisfaction to your evenings or days? So we're going to just talk very briefly about the differences. There are a lot of words out there: self-esteem, self-worth, body image, body confidence. What are the difference actually between all of these words? Because I think we group them over as quite an umbrella term when actually there are a lot of differences, and that confusion can sometimes be what fuels our negative headspace around these things. So self-esteem is our opinion of ourselves. That is what self-esteem is. So positive self-esteem equips us better to deal with what life throws at us. If we have positive self-esteem, we feel that we can take on anything. It incorporates both confidence and self-worth in all aspects of life, and it's not just about what we look like. Again, self-esteem, you hear it spoken about in terms of in relation to exercise and body and appearance a lot, but that's not what it is. Self-esteem is our own opinion of ourselves, and it's about across the board, not just appearance. And then body image, that's how we feel about our bodies. So how we feel about how our bodies look, but also how we feel about how our bodies feel, how we feel within our bodies. So that's physical, that's emotional, that's cognitive, and that's a behavioral perspective of our own bodies, not just again about how we look, not just about appearance. So you can change your body image without having to change your actual appearance. And I think that's where the lines get blurred in the fitness industry, is that what we see a lot of on socials, on the news, on everything is that you can improve your body image if you lose 10 pounds. You can improve your body image by changing your appearance, but that is not the case. We've looked at this multiple times. We looked at this in our previous huddle, where someone could be extremely overweight, lose loads of weight because they believe that's going to make them happy, and they've lost all this weight, but they're still unhappy because their body image and how they feel in their bodies has not changed. It's still negative. So another journal prompt. I told you we got quite a few today, but these are really, really important when it comes to talking about our relationship with food, exercise, and body image. What things do you commonly think about your body? Both negative, positive, and neutral. All aspects. Tell me about what you commonly think about your body. Day-to-day thoughts, maybe if you don't think about your body daily, maybe weekly thoughts, monthly thoughts, or maybe you're at a place where you're like, actually, I don't really think about my body. Write that down, whatever it is you may feel. Good. And whilst you're doing that as well, I want you to recognize that these are thoughts. Thoughts are not facts. Thoughts are your own opinion of yourself. They are not factual. That's really important. So accept the thought and recognize it's not factual. It is your own opinion. Then write down what emotions arise from these thoughts that you're having. When you wrote those thoughts, or when you thought those thoughts initially, what emotions did they provoke? Did they provoke confidence, happiness, sadness, shame, embarrassment, positivity, empowerment? What thoughts, what emotions did they provoke? Good. Just write them down. Take a minute to think about it as you write them. Again, if you're unsure, that's absolutely fine. Recognize that these emotions, alongside some of the thoughts you're having, are totally normal to feel. Loads of people feel them. Recognize them, but we're not going to sit in them for too long. We're now going to focus on how we can start to improve these thoughts, the quality of our thoughts and emotions. How do these thoughts and feelings about your body affect your behavior? This is quite a hard one because we don't always recognize our reactions and our behaviors, but I really want you to reflect now, maybe over the last month, maybe over the past year, maybe even over about a previous version of yourself that you may not even be in now, but how in your life, in your week, in your day to day, do your thoughts and feelings about your body affect your behavior? How have they previously? How do they currently? And potentially even you could write down, how would you like your thoughts and feelings about your body to affect your behavior in the future? Yeah, for example, a good example has been thrown out there. We might, if we're having more negative thoughts and feelings about our body, it might make it harder for us to go out generally. It might make us choose to stay in a little bit more. How does it affect your behavior towards food? How does it affect your behavior towards exercise? How does it affect your behavior towards socializing? How does it affect your behavior in work? How does it affect your behavior in your relationships with the people closest to you? They're all linked and related. So our goal here, our main goal, is healthy body esteem. What is the healthy body esteem? What does that look like? That is valuing and respecting ourselves and our bodies, regardless of what we look like. It's separating our body image from our appearance. Our value is not based upon our appearance. It's not based upon a number on the scales. It's not based upon other people's opinions of us. It's not based upon harmful things that people may have said to us in our lifetimes. And it's important to recognize that our bodies are meant to and are still going to change in life. It's really, really important to recognize that. If our bodies weren't meant to change, then us as women, we wouldn't grow a baby inside of us during pregnancy if our bodies weren't meant to change. Ooh. Because there's no possible way that our body could ever be the same after going through pregnancy. Our bodies are meant to change. We're meant to fluctuate through the different phases of life. And it's important, extremely important, to have that separation between your appearance and your body image for this fact, because we can increase our happiness by having the separation between the two. My biggest mechanism that I tell people to use when they talk negatively or when they have anybody talk or self-talk to themselves is, would you say that to a friend? If you wouldn't say what you're saying to yourself, to a friend or to a family member or to your daughter or your son or your grandchild, then you shouldn't be saying it to yourself. You shouldn't be. Being compassionate to ourselves, appreciating our body, and knowing these feelings and thoughts that we're having are not factual and they're only temporary. That is really important because there are also other affecting factors to how we feel about ourselves. I'm at one point in my cycle and I'm feeling absolutely amazing. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling happy. And then the 5 days before I start my period, that's it. I absolutely hate myself again. There's been no change in my body. There's only been change in my thoughts and my feelings towards my body. They are not factual and they are only temporary. A little timeline of body image. So let's dive a little bit deeper. How have we acquired our thoughts and feelings and habits towards body image as we've grown up? Age 3, we develop our categorical self. So age 3 is around the time where we start to decipher the difference between good and bad and this and that. And then preschool, this is where we start to really gain and develop some leadership skills. We understand the power of having different skills, but it's also where we start to feel our first feelings of guilt or self-doubt as well, as early as that. And then from age 5 to 11, this is where we start to discover that when we achieve things, when we accomplish things, when we become good at something, it makes us feel proud. And we start to actually really recognize that we have pride in certain accomplishments and abilities. And this right here shows you how moldable we are. Because if you grew up in an environment where you are always complimented on the way you look, or you're always complimented on a particular skill that you have, then you start to attach your self-worth on those aspects. This is where it all starts. So it doesn't always have to be our body image that we attach our self-worth to, our appearance even. It doesn't have to be that, but sometimes it might be a skill that we have. It might be something that we have the ability to do. Then we come into adolescence, and this is where we really start to form our own identities. We start to figure out where it is that we fit in. We start to build our core beliefs in ourselves, whether these be negative ones or positive ones. For example, a negative core belief might be that this is where you start to identify as I am an unfit person, or I am a creative person, or I am a dumb person. Again, all depending on that environment around you as well. This is where we are influenced greatly by our caregivers, our primary caregivers, which is our parents, our grandparents, an adult that we might look up to, a role model, a teacher. We spend loads of time at school as well. So if you have a teacher that's continuously telling you that you're so good at this subject and this is what you should do, you start to attach your self-worth to that. And then we come into adulthood, and this is where the experiences from our adolescence then can cause us to form these triggers in our adulthood. For example, we might have triggers now where exercising in front of people makes us feel embarrassed, or wearing outfits to big events, this makes us feel nervous, or exams can trigger big anxiety for us because of experiences that we had during our adolescence. We pick all of these experiences up in our adolescence, and they then provide us with what we call our triggers in adulthood. So another journal prompt. What are your negative core beliefs about yourself? For example, I'm clumsy, or I'm bad with money, or I'm unfit. What are your negative core beliefs about yourself? Write them down. Ew, excuse me. Write all of them down, any that you can think of. Again, some of them can be past, present, some of them might not stand anymore, but you might have once had. Yeah, we can, again, another good point been put in the chat there. We can really attach ourselves to age as well. We are basically taught to fear growing up. So one of your negative core beliefs might be I'm old, or I'm too old, or I'm too old to do X. And as you write them down as well, they might start to provoke memories where you first felt these negative core beliefs forming. Because now I want you to think, where do you think those core beliefs came from? For example, is there a specific time or place someone said that? Or is there a specific event in your life that happened that made you feel like that? For example, I've got an example about me for you and how it can affect our actions. I was at school. I can remember the exact time and moment in a history lesson that a boy told me that I had hairy arms. I went straight home, cried to my mum, and I have forever waxed my arms since that moment. So that is like a negative core belief that was ingrained within me from an event that happened at school that provoked a certain emotion, and now I have a certain reaction that even carries through with me now, something that I still do based off of that event. Same with weight. If someone tells you you're overweight for a long time, they're not helping you by telling you they're overweight. They're making this one of your core beliefs that almost then becomes a part of your identity. And actually then, because you believe that that is you, it actually then becomes a lot harder to make the changes that you need to make to do that, because you'll forever go back to this negative core belief that, oh, that's not going to work for me because I am overweight. That's who I am. And then our final journal prompt is, when do you feel triggered the most? And don't just talk about body image. This isn't just about body image either. You can write things down with body image, but maybe it's to do with your relationship with food. Maybe it's to do with exercise. Maybe it's to do with your confidence at work. Maybe it's to do with relationships. There's a lot of things that happen within relationships there as well. So, for example, when do you feel most triggered? Do you get most triggered when you're at work? Do you get most triggered when you have a social event coming up? Do you get most triggered when you've got a big presentation you have to deliver? When you walk into the gym? When you go shopping? When you have an argument with a loved one? When do you get most triggered? Few more seconds here. And start to see now we're getting to the root cause of it. We're getting to what happened, why it now still lingers with us, and how it affects our behaviors as well. You might also get triggered when you're with a particular person, or when you see a particular friend or family member that's maybe particularly critical of you. And that is going to bring us on to diet culture now, because diet culture can have a massive impact on our core beliefs too, because we've grown up with it all around us. Diet culture is the culture that most of us live in, and it values thinness, it values appearance, it values shape, and it values weight above health and well-being. It leads us, a lot of people, to make changes without always thinking about the consequences or the risks. For example, BBLs are now a thing because society and Kim K has told us we need big bums. Lip filler is now a thing because big lips are what are being thrown at us as being attractive. And there's a difference. These things aren't always bad, making these changes, but there's a difference between the intention behind them, and there's a difference between considering the consequences of making these changes as well. On another extreme, juice diets might have been something that someone's decided to do, and they haven't thought about the consequences that this could actually have on the rest of their health and well-being, on their mental health, on their social health, on their intellectual health, on their energy levels. And food marketing is particularly bad for this as well, because there are such products out there now that exist that actually have like the word skinny in their marketing. There's skinny sauces and skinny bars and skinny this, that, and the other. Even skinny tan. It's just that negative connotation that they've used in their marketing to almost, go off of someone's insecurities, someone's weaknesses. There's now so many foods out there that are marketed as zero or low calorie. And yes, we've spoken about this. There is a place for things like that in our diet, but not every single item of food that we eat has to be zero or low calorie. And zero or low calorie does not mean good for us either. And then there's the media. There's TV programs like Love Island, where they get a bunch of people who all basically look exactly the same, or have the same length, long hair and nails and body types, and they all look the same, and then they give us this false impression again of what different bodies and different people look like. And social media is such a massive part of our life now, and there's still so much edited and filtered content on social media. It's still not a good resemblance of people's realities. And social standards, they change all the time. Plastic surgery and beauty products, they change all the time. how can we keep up with the latest surgeries and beauty products when 1 minute a thigh gap is popular and the next minute you're meant to have, you know, powerful thighs and a Kim K bum? You can't. And it's forever changing because it's not what we should be, you know, putting our self-worth, basing our self-worth on. So I want to show you a little clip because I think I shared this on my social media recently, and it shocks me because I actually remember watching this episode and I don't remember particularly having any thoughts or feelings provoked at the time, but now it just absolutely shocks the life out of me. And this is one of many clips across, there's thousands of interviews and things out there that just have this same representation, but this clip just popped up onto my feed recently, and it made me think, how can we not pick up negative core beliefs when things like this used to be deemed as acceptable TV? So let me share this with you. Oh, wait, let me just make sure. Why is my... Give me a second, it's not sharing for some reason.
You sound nice but look like a shop girl. That's the problem.
Okay.
You don't
That's
like
something can be worked on.
Well, it's a lot of work.
I would do anything for this. I know what you're saying, Nad.
What am I saying?
That I'm overweight,
You
basically.
are. You really are.
I'm working on it.
Look.
That just absolutely shocked me because the fact that that was deemed as acceptable was incredible. Like, that we watched that and accepted that, and that someone felt that they were able to pass that judgment on someone else. And yeah, like I said, I remember, and just because things aren't as outwardly spoken, or people aren't as outward spoken as that on telly anymore, because there are a few more things that are deemed acceptable, it's just taken a different form. Like I said, just because no one's outwardly calling anyone fat on the telly anymore doesn't mean that there aren't still these like shocking things happening. Like, instead it's manifested as in Love Island, they all look the same, like we said. So it just has major influence. And if you're looking at, if you're consuming that content as someone who's watching that, and at that time you were watching that clip and you didn't think that she was an overweight person, or you felt that you looked the same as her and that resonated with you, again, you're then having someone telling you that you're fat when that's not the case, and you're attaching your body image to your appearance. And Simon Cowell did that in that clip. He attached her value on her appearance. He was saying that, oh yeah, you're a great singer, but you have no value. That doesn't matter, because in his opinion, she was overweight, and that's ridiculous because the two are not linked whatsoever. So let's talk about those links. What are body image concerns linked to? They're linked to unhealthy weight loss strategies. They're linked to lower self-esteem. They're linked to extended periods of time on the computer, which I thought was a really interesting one. But research shows all of these things. Probably extended periods of time on social media, I'm sure, and on social media making comparisons. Poorer perceived health, so how we view our health is poorer if we have body image concerns. So just because we have poor body image, we suddenly perceive our entire health and well-being as being poor, when that may not be the case. It is linked to increased risk in eating disorders, in extended periods of time on the computer, I've put twice, because it baffled me. Lower physical activity, dysfunctional exercise habits as well. So again, maybe an on-off or a bad relationship with exercise. And in some extremes, it actually was linked to idealization of suicide too, in really extreme cases. So let's look at the flip side. We have looked at what poor body image can look like, but actually when it comes to body positivity, we do not want to strive for perfect in any of these relationships. We don't want to strive for perfect when it comes to training. We don't want to strive for perfect when it comes to nutrition. And we're not striving for complete and utter body positivity all of the time, because actually these can equally be just as toxic as having poor body image, because it still emphasizes this hyper focus on food, exercise, and body image. What we actually want is to be quite neutral about our body image. We'll have good days, we'll have bad days. We recognize them, we accept them, we understand they're temporary, and we move on. It's actually much healthier for us if our brains are not consumed by training, nutrition, and body image all the time, and they're just part of life. So let's go into body positivity a little bit, how we can maybe increase it so that we do get to this point of comfort and content. And body positivity is all about movement, respect, and appreciation for our bodies as they are now. As they are now, as they are tomorrow, as they will be in 5 years' time, as they are during pregnancy, post-pregnancy, pre-menopause, post-menopause, whatever it is, respecting and appreciating them through all of their forms in life. If you want to make healthy changes, then do it. But do it because you love and respect yourself, not because you hate how you look or because you want to change how you look. Have gratitude and appreciation for what your body allows you to do. Love the things that are different about your body, despite them not fitting into societal standards, because being different is good. It would be bloody boring if we all looked exactly the same. Because if our body image is poor or positive or neutral, whatever it is, it's going to bleed into all areas of our life, including food and exercise. It's also going to bleed into our work, our relationships, our social health. So we've got to make sure that all of these things are good, are healthy relationships, because they have a knock-on effect onto one another. And we can only achieve this by continuous and ongoing practice of self-compassion and acceptance, as well as disengaging with any negative content or negative conversation or shaming. There's a lot of, on social media, there's also a lot of this cancel culture and this calling out culture. And that's also equally, people think they're doing well by calling out if someone's edited their photos or if someone's done this or said this, but that is just feeding into these toxic mindsets. It's not addressing the problem, which is someone who's edited their photos obviously actually has poor body image themselves. By calling them out, you're feeding their poor body image and you're only making it worse. So, good question has been put in the chat. How do you start loving and respecting your body? I'm going to talk to you about how we do that. So, we need to create for ourselves a body positive environment. That looks like these things. These are where we can start. Unfollowing accounts on social media that make you feel bad about your body or make you feel bad about any aspect of your life, full stop. If you follow an account if you're scrolling through your socials and a post comes up and you feel triggered because you want your relationship to be like that, you want your life to look like that, you want to eat food like that, and it makes you feel a negative emotion, you go straight onto that profile and you unfollow straight away. Have a social media purge. Go onto your Instagram, go through all your followers and unfollow any ones that allow you to take comfort in comparing your life, comparing your body, comparing anything at all. Unfollow them all. And start following accounts with bodies like yours. Following accounts that provide you with healthy and reliable knowledge. Fill your Instagram with accounts that look like yours, that make you feel good, that provide you with healthy knowledge or positivity. Accounts like Lisa Snowdon that we've spoken about before, accounts like Jamila, who we spoke about before, accounts like any of my fellow MHEC coaches, accounts like some of your friends who are like-minded and think the way that you think, not even necessarily all of your friends, because some of them might also be promote about these toxic traits and habits and disordered habits. Exercise to feel better first. So always taking a health-centered approach, a health-centered focus when it comes to nutrition and exercise and general well-being. Having goals that don't involve appearance. So have goals like hitting personal bests, learning new skills, stressing less, sleeping better, socializing more. Be mindful of the language around you. That's the language that you use to yourself, the language that you use about others, the language that you use talking to others. Be mindful of others' language towards you, towards themselves as well, towards others. Be mindful of the effect it has, the influence that you're having over your kids, the effect that someone's language has on you, that your language might have on someone else, how it's going to affect them and how they feel. And if you have people around you who maybe perhaps have negative language and they have it towards themselves and they have it towards you, then the best way to deal with that is either to disengage with the conversation. There's nothing wrong with saying, like, this conversation isn't serving me, or let's not talk about this, let's talk about something else. This isn't very positive conversation for me. There's nothing wrong with saying that. That's setting boundaries. But equally, if you find yourself in a situation where you're surrounded by that and perhaps you don't feel that you can lay that boundary down, then it's about recognizing that their language is not proper, that their language is opinions, not factual, and that it doesn't matter what they think of yourself. It's recognizing that your own body image, your own perception of yourself is what matters more than anything else. And the biggest thing here is wear clothes that fit you. Don't try to fit into clothes. There are different sizes everywhere. There's also no consistency in sizes between shops. You might be a size 12 in H&M, but in New Look you're a size 6, and in Pretty Little Thing you're a size 16. There's no consistency. There is your value and your self-worth is not based off of the size of a piece of clothing. Clothing is there to fit you, not the other way around. You are not there to fit the clothing. If you are a size 3 shoe, you are not going to go into a shoe shop and try and squeeze yourself into a size 1. If you're a size 5 shoe, you're not going to think, God, I better chop my toes off so I can fit a size 3. You don't do that with shoe sizes, so we don't do that with clothes sizes either. So if you have been keeping things in your cupboards that you're like, oh, I'll try and fit into that again. Oh, if I can just lose this amount, I'll fit into that again. Oh, I'll feel good when I can fit into that again. Get rid of them. Your clothes are there to fit you and make you feel good, not the other way around. Journal prompt. And we're coming to the end now. So we've just got a couple of journal prompts that we're going to spend a couple of minutes on. I want you to draw yourself a pie chart, and I want you to divide that pie chart up of where you spend most of your time and energy currently. Work, family, partner, gym, kitchen cooking, scrolling on your phone, scrolling on social media, reading, whatever it is. Draw your pie chart and divvy it up into where your time and energy is spent mostly at the moment. Also, going back to that slide before, really good point was made in the chat, which is don't buy clothes too small that you think you might fit one day. Yes, it's one thing having old clothes that you think, oh, I might fit into one day. We don't want that, but definitely don't go out and buy a, like we said, you wouldn't buy a size 3 if you're a size 5 and think, oh, I'll try and fit in that shoe size one day. Go out and buy clothes that fit you now and make you feel good now. Once you've drawn your pie chart and you've divided it into where you spend most of your time currently, and like I said, that doesn't always have to be like physically in a place. It might be scrolling on social media. It might be in front of the mirror criticizing yourself. It might be overthinking in your head. It might be in here, or it might be physical. I then want you to look at that pie chart and I want you to think, is this representative of my values? Is this in line with my values? And then I want you to redraw another pie chart next to it of how you would like your time to be spent, which should basically be where your time would be spent that would make you feel content day to day. It should be a pie chart that reflects where your time is spent that is in line with your values. So is this more time with friends? Is this more time with family? Is this more time learning? Is this more time being creative? Is it more time reading, more time moving, more time eating, more time journaling? Draw that pie chart. And then start to think about, compare the pie charts and think about what is within your control that you can change, that can make you go from pie chart 1 to pie chart 2. What is within your control? Remember, we don't focus on non-controllables, but what is within your control that can be changed to make this happen? If you feel that you have no train in the week, you have no time in the week to train, to go to the gym, to work out, but you spent 8 hours, you had 8 hours on your screen time daily. Do you really have no time, or are you sitting in the wrong things? Are you spending your time doing the wrong things? Have a little think about those things. And it's quite hard to do that because sometimes we feel like we're calling ourselves out, but this should be a really good visual representation of how you spend your time and and then it should allow you to reflect on what actually you can change, where there is room to wiggle some time down and increase time elsewhere, all within what you are able to change and control yourself. And our final journal prompt of the session is that I want you to set yourself one goal for next month that is not related to your appearance. So for the next 4 weeks, I want you to have a goal in mind, one goal that's set that is not appearance related. It could be more fiber, it could be hit a PB on a certain lift. It could be spend more time with your partner. It could be do something fun every day. It could be do something that pushes yourself out of your comfort zone. But it's got to not be appearance related at all. The intention behind it has to be purely health and well-being centered, health focused, and happiness focused. And get specific. Think about our SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, and time bound. So be specific. So if, for example, your goal is going to be to find a hobby, what hobby, where are you going to look, how are you going to find it, when are you going to make time for it? Get specific, because that's the only way to make it happen. And a final little reminder before we log off, so we can head off in a really positive mindset, is that health is multifaceted. Remember that. Health is multifaceted. Health means something different to each and every one of us. We wrote down right at the beginning what health meant to us. And that is what health should encompass. It should encompass what it means to you specifically, not what it means to the media, not what it means to Julie next door, not what it means to Karen down the street, not what it means to me even. That's not even relevant to you. Health is connection, it's social health, it's financial health. Yes, it's physical and mental health as well, but it's also sleep hygiene, it's also happiness, and so much more. And it means something slightly different to everyone. And as long as you are living in line with your values, and you are doing what you need to do to fulfill what health means to you, that is what's going to make you feel happy and content. It's not always just about appearance, nutrition, and training. It's about all these other elements as well. So I hope that was a useful and productive huddle for you today. I hope you spent some time reflecting, and these journal prompts are there for you to use whenever you need to, or to come back to whenever you need a reminder or you need to redo them. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day. Bye, team. Any questions, just drop me a message.